This podcast is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to provide medical advice. It exists only to entertain. In Greece, during the 2nd century, a renowned physician is relaying his vast knowledge to his medical students.
Yeah, hello, medical students. Where did yesterday's lesson lead off?
You were explaining how the stomach reaches into the mouth to grab the food.
And the food turns into blood in the liver.
Yes. Were there any questions about that?
Nope. Seems completely plausible to me.
Actually, I have a question. What does a heart do?
Haven't you been paying attention?
It's quite all right. Well, student, the heart makes the blood more, lifey.
What?
It adds like life energy into the blood.
What is life energy, per se?
Well, it's the element that makes us alive, of course.
But how does the heart actually add the substance, and where does that essence, I guess, come from?
Well, it seems pretty straightforward to me.
Well, you see, the heart and the lungs both add the vital essence to our blood together.
See, that makes perfect sense. They do it together.
Yeah, but how? What is essence, and how do you know these organs do that? I mean, have you ever seen them actually working?
Well, no, but I've seen them work in my studies in the Barbary apes.
But those aren't humans, so how do you know how we work?
Why are you giving our professor such a hard time? Who are you? Who are you to question the greatest physician of our time? I'm sorry, Dr. Gale. I'm very sorry.
Please, it's no bother. I'm here to teach everything I know about medicine, and I do not fear these questions.
Whatever. So, what are we learning about today?
How too much yellow bile makes some people intolerable.
Barbary apes aren't even apes, they're monkeys.
You know what? Nobody likes a pendant.
Nobody likes a pendant.
Somebody has a phlegmy disposition today.
I think my black bile levels are rising.
Wow, nobody cares.
I made up all this stuff about medicine off the top of my head.
I know you did. We all know you did.
Throughout history, this is Max and Mary, Mike and me. You gotta listen, you don't have to read. For historians, for historians, for historians.
Welcome, everyone. This is Poor Historians, a podcast delving into the archives of medical history. As 3 emergency physicians, we will explore the unusual ailments, treatments, physicians, and all related material having to do with the healing arts. I'm Max, and I'm joined here by my good friends and colleagues, Aaron and Mike. Gentlemen, how amazing is Mike's new version of the theme song?
So amazing.
Wait, did you play the punk rock one?
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, so amazing.
Yeah,
Did you actually listen to it, Aaron? Or are you just paying
I don't
him
know that I
lip
sent
service?
it to him. Did I?
Yeah,
I think I did.
Is Aaron
I
just
don't know.
pretending he heard it?
This is we're at are we at that stage of the friendship where some of the social niceties kind of fall away? I have not listened to it.
It's fine.
at
It's
all.
the same. It just is louder.
But
That's
it's
it.
punk rock now.
I
Cool.
like it.
That's sweet, man. Turn it up. Turn it up.
Wow,
goes to
rocking
11.
out. Do, 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 do.
It's that freedom rock, man. Turn it up.
So, either way, I'm moving on to shout-outs. So, this week, I do have a shout-out for one of our super fans, Kyle, who has been listening to the show since the very beginning. So, after we got a strange kind of spike in listeners a few weeks ago, I was wondering what was happening, and eventually Kyle reached out and let us know he had actually put a very nice and I think very honest review of the show up onto Reddit. And we got a bunch of new fans and listeners from that show since that time. So really appreciate that, Kyle. And if you're one of those new listeners, welcome to the show. We hope you will stick around for sure.
I love how the review low-key kind of dogs our early episodes, which is accurate. It's
Mhm.
like, why don't you try some later stuff first and then go into the back catalog? It's
I like the
perfect.
part where he's like, "Why don't you skip this season and wait until the stuff that hasn't come out yet? That's better."
Honest and still appreciated. What
Mhm.
can I say? In other news too, I would like to clarify that our upcoming weekly releases will actually begin next Thursday. So we said the beginning of November. Some folks were asking about it last week, but next week Thursday is our first weekly. The beginning of our first kind of different flavor of weekly show. So you're still going to get this normal type show that we're doing, like I said, but we're going to use this other show to do some new things, try out some new segments, and that we're going to start with interviews with a bunch of representatives from museums around the world. So these are medical museums. We want to give you kind of a behind the scenes look. And so the first episode will come out next week there. And with that, you guys have any other shout outs?
Mm-mm.
Mm, mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Well,
Mm-mm.
I think
Mm-mm.
we might as
Mm-mm.
well just start eviscerating the greats of our profession, shall we not?
Well, he eviscerated enough on his own. So sometimes it's impressive just how right you can be despite still being like totally wrong because of your context. So and sometimes it's impressive just to know that yes, blood does go back to the heart from the liver, and yes, veins and arteries contain blood, even if you still believe in a 3-part soul that also lives in the liver and a bunch of holes in the middle of the heart. Now, why would that be impressive? Well, if all your friends are more concerned with spirits and mysticism as treatments for actual ailments, and you get a few things right, you kind of look like a genius in comparison.
To be a successful historical medical figure, you just have to make sure that bar is really low and you just stand above it.
Yeah, that's
always.
that's all you need. And
So,
if
like,
you
these
manage,
people were standing on the shoulders of giants, and we just shit on the shoulders of giants. Bleep
Well,
that
when
out,
you're
please.
standing on someone's shoulders, it's pretty easy to just kind of take crap.
Take
So
it.
if you if you manage, in addition to invent a
That's what he
hand wavy
meant by the metaphor.
explanation. Oh my God, can I just do the essay, you guys? Jeez, Louise.
No.
Okay, there's another outtake. Also, if you manage to invent a hand wavy explanation for all sorts of crap that's basically unprovable, that lasts for, I'm going to say this a few times through the essay, almost 2,000 years before it gets disproven. That's impressive, even if it's so wrong. So
It is just amazing longevity for
yeah,
really wrong and
just a
just
bad
outwardly
idea.
dumb
Well,
ideas.
We'll get
Thinking
there,
about it
we'll
a
get
little
there.
bit more objectively now, like at the time, it probably wasn't safe to question, right? If you question these things, then you're a witch or you're something. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't in our
Yeah.
society or in ancient society to question the norm. It was like follow the norm.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, but
definitely
it's
part of it,
funnier just to look at how
culturally.
ridiculous it is and make fun of it 3,000 years later,
I'm just trying to like give a little context.
Are you
2,000
defending me?
years. Galen?
No,
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's a
yeah.
statue of him in front of our medical school.
Is there really?
Your medical
Mhm.
school.
What? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. What? Oh,
Well,
I didn't know
maybe
that.
there's a statue. Maybe it's Abraham
There's
Lincoln. I don't
probably
know.
a lot of statues of him.
Some stone guy. Since we're a medical history podcast, one alias Galenus. I hadn't said it out loud like that before. Or Claudius Galenus, or just Galen and Pergamon, was bound to get his own episode at some point or another because this guy was a giant of the ancient world, doctor to kings, foundational to our understanding of circulation, and a pioneer of the system approach that we use to this day. We still talk about like the circulatory system and the nervous system, and Galen helped advance this understanding with empiricism, which is a fancy word for looking at stuff to try to figure out how it works, which at the time was a revolutionary idea.
But was he looking at the same stuff as everybody else? Because I think he got to some interesting conclusions looking at stuff that I don't know that most people would have drawn.
Well, he looked at stuff, but then he added a bunch of other things. So
it's the adding a bunch of other things.
Yeah. He built his fame, at least in part, with lots of public demonstrations, often on live animals. As a really fun fact, he was famous for proving that nerves controlled the voice, which is a big deal. The idea that the central nervous system controls our actions. But he'd do this by, quote unquote, tying off the recurrent laryngeal nerve in live pigs in public, which is a nerve that goes down from the brain kind of around the lung and back up. To prove that they couldn't scream anymore, and thus nerves carried the voice from the brain to the tongue. At least they couldn't scream on the outside, while they slowly bled to death, probably making noiseless motions with their mouths.
Wow, the jokes just write themselves.
Yeah, they do, right? So funny. Pigs are smarter than dogs, but he also experimented on dogs and actually thought the uterus of humans was like a dog uterus. Yeah, I don't think he ever
In
got
that they're
one
both
right, but
uteruses.
that is true. Yeah. But I digress, and my modern sensibilities maybe don't apply. And also, we still do animal experimentation today, so I don't really have a high horse.
My question is this: did he kill
get off
more
it.
or fewer dogs than Dr. Oz?
Probably more.
Wait, making up stuff and passing it off as medical knowledge? I mean, do you think Dr. Oz is our new Galen?
Yes,
They have a lot in common.
Damn it, he is. He is. Drink your own urine. Yeah, that's too
That
much
goes way back.
phlegm. But he's wearing scrubs when he talks, so he knows what he's doing.
I heard Galen wore scrubs, a scrub tunic. He wore figs,
Scrub toga,
figs from back in the day,
like tight-fitting figs toga.
Right? Look at Galen; he's looking fly. Oh, he must work at a aesthetic clinic.
He wears the burgundy figs so the pig blood doesn't.
My God, I love
show.
that color. They discontinued that. Can I buy that off of you, Galen?
It matches your wreath. That's so pretty.
Wait, don't you wear figs, Aaron?
I do.
Aaron does wear figs. They look good. I mean, he looks.
I look
buff.
straight.
He looks
I look
amazing
fly
in
when
the
I come to
figs.
work, man. Yeah. I come in. People listen to me more.
You guys know my scrub story, right?
No.
You guys know my scrub story that I've never purchased scrubs.
Oh, I do know this, yes.
And I haven't taken hospital scrubs either. I still wear the same scrubs that were issued to me in 2004.
Everyone is shocked by this news at work. They couldn't imagine.
I think they gave a total of 8 pairs. Some of them disintegrated, like literally disintegrated.
I think I have 4 pairs left.
Yeah, I burned through all the navies. Now I'm on the greens. And when those are done, I'm done.
I will say that your latest like green scrub loincloth is a little disturbing. I think you're gonna have to let that pair go.
So Galen was a rich Greek kid in the Roman Empire. Bit confusing that. Like, did they sit around complaining about how the Romans didn't respect Aphrodite and kept calling her Venus? Born in a balmy Mediterranean September in the year 129.
129.
Yep.
That's AD? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd be negative 129.
I think you just say BCE. Whatever.
Well, BCE would be like the former BC. So is it Common Era or before Common Era?
No, it's Common
So you took
Era.
the Christ out of that too?
Yeah. Take it out of Christmas. Now. Why stop there?
Yeah, right. What are they going to call it? Common Area Day?
He inherited his father's wealth when he died, and at 19, was able to attend 4 years of medical school at the local Asclepion of Pergamon. But he wasn't done there. No, he went on to study in Alexandria and subsequently carried around his library card for instant street cred.
And for a workout, it was probably a tablet, like a stone tablet.
That's probably was. I love how it was still 4 years even back then. You're like, I don't think there was 4 years worth of material, but whatever.
4 is a good square number.
A year per humor.
Yeah. This is phlegm year. He gained early fame as the sports medicine physician to the gladiators of the High Priest of Asia, which is awesome. Apparently a big deal in Asia and very rich. Yeah, the High Priest is very rich. And the story goes that he took a live Barbary ape, which is apparently a macaque, those cute monkeys that steal fruit in India on the BBC, like eviscerated it and then challenged his co-applicants for the position to fix it.
I'm gonna say that if I show up to a job interview and somebody has a live animal with them as part of the interview, I'm just gonna give them the job and cede it to them because I don't want to know what they're gonna do. Can we just get one thing out of the way? Those Barbary apes are monkeys. They're not apes. Why do they call them apes?
I don't know, man. Is it an ancient description of it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's probably translated from his original texts. Apparently he could fix the ape. I don't know how well it went. And his pre-post study showed a decrease in mortality among the gladiators from like 60 to like 5.
Wait, doesn't that mean that the gladiator fights are going badly then? Isn't that what they're there for?
I don't know. I thought it was just for sport. I didn't think it was really a mortal thing.
Oh, I think it was pretty mortal. I don't know.
Citing Russell Crowe.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what we think. But I think they're actually like really well taken care of.
They were like athletes of the day.
No, he was probably just doing like concussion checks and giving people smelling salts. Like,
He's running over to him with like a candle looking in their eyes.
Oh, you really got your bell wrong, did you? What year is it? Which way is the
129.
lion? Which way is the lion?
North.
So after his successful early career, he went to Rome to make it big and made this instant splash with the public demonstrations we've talked about, and is typical of physicians even now on Twitter because he had a splashy reputation. Many warned him that he was in danger of imminent poisoning due to his rapid ascent to fame. So it sounds like it was a rough beginning for him. He had to watch
Much more
his back.
intense cancel culture there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's too
it's
bad
pretty
that's not
intense.
still a thing, right?
I don't like what you
Careful
said.
what's
I'm
in
gonna
your
poison you.
urine, Dr. Oz.
I feel really sleepy.
Rome was a big time, though, and that would mean something to the whole world and to Galen in particular. So, so far, kind of a typically early classical period rags to riches story, right? But Galen has three aspects of his story that highlight his foundational appeal from a medical history perspective. One is a good old-fashioned plague. The other is just a really crazy theory about why humans do the things they do. And the last is a tantalizing near miss of almost being right.
So wait, is one of his theories about why he made up a bunch of stuff about medicine that wasn't true?
Yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah,
other
yeah,
people
yeah,
believed
yeah,
him? Is that one of the theories?
Yeah.
Got to start
Mhm.
somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I guess he
right.
proved it.
At least he had a theory. What were the theories before that?
Um,
Hitting
well,
your
witches
head with a
were actually
rock
doing
to let out
stuff,
the
and then
demons.
yes,
Yeah, but
right.
this-
We've
I
gone
mean, this
through a
is
lot of these theories.
pre-witches, right?
No.
Well, I
The
mean,
old-timey
pre-witches
witches.
that we talked about.
Pre-classic witches.
Yeah, pre-European witches. If our time machine took us back to Rome in 165, first off, I'd take some penicillin and a mask. And second,
Mm.
we'd recognize quite a bit compared to 2020, unfortunately. So for 165 was the year that Rome was first hit with a plague so famous it lives on to this day, called the Antonine Plague, which is one name for it. But our hero is so prominent at the time that the plague is also known as the Plague of Galen.
That is a badge of honor to have a plague named after you.
Yeah, right? It's pretty cool.
It's really
pretty-
weird if you're a physician and you're like trying to fight the plague and they're like, I'm going to name this after you. I'm trying to think of an analogous situation.
Plagues we've established were not uncommon and still aren't. We can't even get from COVID to RSV without a little break. Some things don't change. However, at the time this plague hit, Rome was at its absolute height. At 75 million citizens, some estimates put the Roman Empire at the time at a quarter of the entire global population. So, which is really impressive for them. I'm happy they had a good run. After a siege of the Mesopotamian city called Seleucia or Seleucia or something like that near modern day Baghdad, a strange illness spread through the Roman Empire. Legions first, covering victims with pustules after a week of fever, malaise, sore throat, and a sense the patients just didn't quite feel themselves.
That's one of those complaints that has existed forever.
for millennia.
Just don't feel good.
Can you tell me more specifically what's going on?
I just don't. I feel
just
sick.
don't feel right.
And it very well is probably
in their
true.
defense,
It's just,
it's probably absolutely true.
I mean, I've been there.
Probably
I'm
didn't
just-
have words to describe it. I
we
have
still don't.
soreness in my muscles. That
Oh, they had
like,
like three languages to describe it. And
I
probably
guess you're right.
Galen was he was dispatched to the Roman legions and did as much as he could, recording the symptoms, somehow not dying despite a distinct lack of personal protective equipment. The rash-covered patients turned black, invariably showed up inside the mouth, and he noted that if the diarrhea turned black, which they all had diarrhea, the patient usually died. Black stools are never a good thing. I know we don't give advice, but with the rare exception of people that have eaten a bunch of Pepto-Bismol, blueberries, or black licorice, it's not good because it usually indicates blood in the digestive tract.
Black licorice makes your poop green, not black. FYI.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never looked that closely.
Black licorice can also give you pseudo-hyperaldosteronism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's a fun
I
one.
love
failure?
black licorice. That's why I remember
me
that
too.
stupid factoid.
They're called
They
black
can't stop.
gummies in my house. I'm the only one that eats them. Everybody else hates black
Oh, do you
licorice.
get the salted black licorice? That's
Oh,
my
God,
favorite
that
thing
sounds
ever.
amazing.
Never had
It
it.
is. It's amazing. It's
Ooh.
You guys have heard of my Australian heritage, but that's one benefit. Like their black licorice is
yeah, I definitely have
so
gotten.
good.
No
Do they
way.
make
Are you
panda?
part Australian? I had no idea.
Yeah. But if you get the like you can get it in the store, just like Australian. We're like,
Yeah.
g'day,
Definitely have
g'day. Eat black licorice.
This is crazy. This is 3 people who really like black licorice in one area. That
never
never
happens.
Yeah,
I
no, it
always
doesn't.
used
We're
to
always
buy
the
Good and
outlier.
Plenty's because that was the only candy that like my wife wouldn't like.
Oh,
And then she started like, because I'd have them, and then she'd like eat a few, and she's like, these aren't so bad. Now she eats them, so now I have to find something else. The salted black licorice is a bridge too far for her.
I will have to try it. So
anything anise. No, truly. Like I know it sounds like anus, but anything that tastes like anise is. Like,
I will. Ouzo is the best liqueur. I will die on that hill. There's no doubt, and it's definitely.
I don't know that I've ever had that.
What? No, you got it, man. Fresh ouzo with some water and ice. Oh my god, heavenly.
I'll try it.
Might have been the context. I don't know because I was in Greece. So the general consensus is that the plague of Galen was most likely smallpox, a disease which we have now fully eradicated from the world with a crazy invention called a vaccine. Maybe you've heard of it.
Do you think that there's a future ahead where we celebrate like catching vintage vaccine preventable diseases because the world has descended into an irrational hellscape?
Probably there's a good
It's
chance
on its way. Yeah.
How can we invest in that? Because I do think it's likely.
or it's released from some
How do we short
facility.
the world? Yeah, I
Do you
mean,
know,
it
like,
still
restart the
exists in
facility?
biological war.
Yeah, why does it exist? Like, why we got rid of it? It's like,
yeah, but let's keep it around just in case we want to mess up with some people.
yeah,
it was
Makes for better
used. Smallpox was used to kill a lot of folks in one of the earliest examples of biological warfare. Just a teaser for future episodes of wonderfulness. This plague, along with another possibly related plague, maybe the same, maybe not, shows how density affects contagion, as the Roman legions in Rome itself, at the time a city of 1 million before, modern sewage, despite their best efforts, suffered catastrophic losses, thought to have a mortality rate somewhere between 2 and 25%.
Super accurate, precise numbers.
Yeah. I mean, Roman Twitter couldn't agree on the mortality estimates, as the Parthenon truthers noted how Roman mortality records included citizens that died of apoplexy and quinsy, but were incidentally noted to have had some black pustules that shouldn't be counted as plague deaths. So there's a whole thing. They went back and forth
funny.
a lot.
Nicely done.
So anyway, somewhere between 1.5 and 25 million people died. And this was at the
such
absolute
a wide
height of the
range.
empire. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
The question I have is, how do they know that? I mean, again, it is a really wide range, but it's like, how would they ever guess how many people
who the hell
died?
knows, man?
Like,
I don't
Ancient
know.
Greek obituaries, man.
oh, maybe they kept records. Yeah.
Yeah, they had records. I don't know, man. Ancient history is awesome, and I kind of pine for a job where I could just pick any number of viewpoints and just kind of defend it. This either started the fall of Rome or was just another plague, like they always get.
I mean, we are a history podcast. I think we can do that. There's no law that says we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think it started the fall of the Roman Empire. I think it was the definitive initiation of decline there.
Right, put it on Twitter and then make it true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
Hey, it's amazing, but some people make a living that way. Oh, hey, did you forget to turn off your phone, Aaron?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Sorry, let me just silence it. No way.
What? Who is it?
No, I don't want to answer this.
Who is it?
It says it's Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah, sorry about signing you up for those free karate lessons when we were fighting.
Yeah, I remember, computer.
Ooh, put it on speaker. Put it on
I
speaker.
want to talk to Steven Seagal, man.
Give me that.
No, damn it. No, for crying out loud. Hello?
Hi, this is Steven Seagal. Is this Aaron?
Speaking?
Aaron, you missed your introductory karate lesson.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It just kind of slipped my mind.
Well, Aaron, I could teach you a fighting stance you'll never slip again. It's impossible to slip with the right fighting stance.
I'm not sure that's literally true, but
I do the talking here. I can make you a better fighter, Aaron.
I didn't need to sign up for lessons. Our sentient computer was mad at me and signed me up. It's all just a big misunderstanding.
Look, Aaron, if you want to be hard to kill, you need to put in the time. If I don't see you in my dojo next week, I'm going to take you to the bank, Aaron. The blood bank.
Alrighty then. Bye-bye. What the hell was that?
Wow, he seemed so normal in his movies.
Did he?
That was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know how to recover from whatever that was.
You were talking about how Galen used to be a big deal, kind of like how Steven Seagal was a big deal a long time ago.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
I totally
Under
watched all
Siege,
those movies.
one of the best movies ever.
He's a really stable
Aikido.
person.
So the plague establishes Galen as a big shot, along with his public anatomy lessons on macaques and his public pig torture.
Like that pause is waiting.
The crazy now discarded theory of health that applies to Galen, because he was a huge champion of the theory, is the theory of humors. We've touched on this, surely. I don't know, so many episodes.
Wait. No, I know this one. Hold on. There's stand-up humor. There's satire. There's dark humor, and then there's Monty Python.
Sketch comedy. Yes. So starting with the Greeks, but developed further and championed by Galen, there was a thought that the body has 4 substances that affected health, mood, disposition, and so on. And we'll list them: black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, and blood. So Galen really expounded on this as a philosophical way to connect his direct observations of things that maybe are happening to the causes of behaviors and illnesses.
Okay, so a couple things here. We've gotten this far, and we're going to talk about all the Galen medicine stuff, but why is he a big shot after the plague? What did all he did was record symptoms. Did he actually help people?
Well, his treatments weren't really written down, and I also must say that a lot of this is, I didn't go back to his original sources and read all.
He's got
his
original
of
tablets.
writings. Yeah, like he
fair.
wrote a lot. Yeah, there's only so much homework.
Fair. And then, so did excrement? Did they not think that was one of like the vials, or does that figure in somehow?
That would be yellow bile. So
okay,
probably, fair. Yeah. So
right. No, I stand corrected.
He connected each humor to a season. So blood, which is hot and wet, was for spring. Yellow bile.
It's like,
I don't know, man.
Mild and
spring and
dewy at
blood.
best.
Yeah. Yellow bile, which is hot and dry, was for summer. It's not dry in my experience. Black bile for fall, because it was cold and dry. And phlegm for winter, obviously, because it was cold and wet, which is accurate except when phlegm is coughed onto a person, in which case it's absolutely hot and wet and disgusting. So they ascribe this to personalities. We can go into that, but we could also talk about astrology too, or not, because it's not really germane to medical history. Although I got to tell you, a good star chart is a good read. So blood came from digestion. For a while, there was an idea that you could test the blood for a humoral balance, because blood had a small proportion of all the humors in it. So I'm sort of imagining a humoral panel that you send off, and a prescription for more phlegm.
Ew,
after you get the humoral.
Do they eat other people's? Is this like a fecal transplant, an ancient fecal transplant?
Sputum transplants?
I don't believe so.
It's probably on the internet somewhere.
Just hock a loogie in someone's mouth and then they feel better.
You need more phlegm. Phlegm, I don't know. Phlegm is not the big winner in the humoral system. So yellow bile was thought to come from the gallbladder, which isn't wrong. Bile absolutely comes from the gallbladder, and it's easy to see how once you cut open enough animals, you'd think that fluid was important. Too much bile would cause anger. I'm not going to go too deep in any of these.
Or a gallbladder with too much bile can make somebody very uncomfortable and angry. So I'm going to say he's right on this one. We'll give him one.
Yeah, that part tracks. Black bile came from the spleen, which answers the question, what the hell the spleen does anyway? I'm still a bit suspicious of the "it cleans blood" answer, which seems just sketchy. I think the aliens put it there. And in excess was blamed for melancholy or cancer, reminding us of the truism that if something is said to cause and or cure completely unrelated things, it's probably BS.
I can't remember if I shared this on the show, but did I ever tell you about the Lonely Spleen book in the library?
No,
it was just this was a small fascination. So my friends and I in medical school, we would walk, I just go like study at this area of the library, and I remember walking by this book multiple times, and it was probably a 900-page just giant tome just called The Spleen.
That wasn't called The Lonely Spleen.
And it was, it just sat in this corner, like at the end of this shelf. Nobody had touched this book for however long. And I always walked by it thinking there was like some guy or some person, I should say, that wrote this giant tome on the spleen because nobody else would. And it just sits there forgotten. We flipped through it and it was so boring. We just put it back.
You didn't read any of the incantations in it, did you?
Not out loud. We didn't like
the
the
central 3 pages with the symbols. That's
you pulled the cover off and it was the Necronomicon.
that person is just out there, and they know only they know they are the ones who wrote the spleen book.
It's amazing.
It's a dumb organ.
It is. It is phlegm, which we now have restricted to just gross stuff that people cough on other people, sometimes on purpose, is in humoral theory is any clear or white fluid.
Oh,
Oh,
So yeah, like pus or any other clearish whitish fluid you could think of
I'm just
was,
going to mute Mike real
phlegm.
quick.
Yeah.
don't worry. No, I'm good. I'm
It
cool,
was
man.
it was associated with the brain, but it was also the most ephemeral of all the humors. And sometimes the very existence of phlegm as a humor was questioned. Does it even exist? We
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's pretty easy to take phlegm from inside the body and cough it out. I feel like I
I
believe
don't know
that
why
that
they would
exists.
question it. It seems, black bile is the one I mean, when have you ever seen that?
Hmm.
That's weird. Anyway. So disease was then conceptualized as an imbalance of these fluids, thus various ways of addressing it, often by making people bleed or vomit or have explosive diarrhea. Like you got too much yellow bile, you need to take some Ipecac and empty yourself. This dominated medicine for almost 2,000 years, and Galen was a huge part of the early predominance of the theory. He came of age and was famous at a time where previous treatments were mystical or from witches, which we've established probably worked pretty well in some cases. But, you had to go to a witch, so there's that, and that's not quote unquote real medicine.
And in fairness, I didn't get a lot of sources saying that the witch thought that the blah 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 humors and whatever were corrected by the plant. It was just I don't know. This seems to work. Try it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of mysticism and weirdness behind it. But
Sure.
just saying.
It also, this kind of falls into one of my favorite biases, the action bias. So action bias says doing something is better than nothing, when in reality, it kind of tends to be the opposite. Even today, sometimes, right? We have a saying that I sometimes repeat under my breath: don't just do something, stand there. Because if you don't know what to do, there's just as much chance of harm as there is a benefit for a lot of interventions. And the humoral
That is
theory,
so true. Was it the House of God, the book that said the art of medicine is doing as much nothing as possible?
Yeah. It's a
And
problematic book, but it gets a lot of stuff very right.
And humans are hard to kill.
Yeah. Yeah. There are
remind yourself.
There are a lot of gems in there.
Some of these things, yeah.
I don't recommend it to people though, because
I love that book.
Oh, that book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite books.
Never finished it. We talked about that already.
The humoral theory, though, allows you to do things by balancing the humor. So it feels like you get value out of it. And the patient's like, you help me. You really balance my phlegm, So plus the placebo effect, which is very real, probably convinced people for centuries that their purgative actually did balance their yellow bile with their phlegm. And now their syphilis wasn't quite so bad anymore. So,
except that the syphilis was rooting its way into their brain and they were going to die 30 years later of the condition.
Yeah. But they only got that 30 years because of the laxative that Galen gave them,
That's
right?
true.
That's
true.
the thing.
This is basically the four humors here, and all the stuff they would do. They could do medicine stuff because you need to be bloodlet or whatever. It's like the busy work of an office job. It's not really doing any good, but at least it's keeping somebody busy.
We need a humor report on. Did you finish up the
black bile's off the charts on this one. Galen, I see your orders are in, but they're not signed. We gotta bloodlet this guy in room 3.
Did you scan the phlegm? The phlegm's not. You got a barcode. You got to scan the barcode on the phlegm.
Do a wet prep. Oh, there's a lot of mucus in there.
So those are the humors. Thanks, Galen. They'd survive until Vesalius, the founder of modern anatomy, so-called, was like, yeah, that's not right.
I think Vesalius is the statue, not Galen.
That could be. That's probably
better
more.
Statue, I would say.
Yeah, true. Galen was misled strikingly with humoral theory, I think it's fair to say, at least according to our current understanding. But his attribution of these fluids to activity in the body was understandable because he was taking the huge step of trusting his empiricism, or the idea that you figure things out by looking at them. He's looking at the body and trying to puzzle it out. That's groundbreaking, and you can see how hard it would be to really get a good sense of what's going on. There are limits to physical exam and to autopsy both, so really starting from scratch, would be hard. I mean, we didn't have to stand in his sandals.
Well, and I was going to say, as much as I definitely going to poke fun at him, he couldn't do dissections, correct? I think it was illegal.
Yeah, they were problematic, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that's why he did things on animals and stuff that at least kind of look like humans, because that was legal. So, I mean, in fairness, I guess if you're trying to puzzle out the human body, but you can't actually open one and look at it and those sort of things, I could see why you're going to come up with a lot of amazing wrongness.
Yeah. And he has some things that got really, really close. And one huge, so close facet of his theory was what he thought about circulation. Before Galen, people thought blood vessels just carried oxygen, which is I suppose, not completely wrong is there is
Wait,
a
did they
very
call it oxygen back
small,
there?
I was just going to ask that same
I
question.
don't know, air. I don't know.
Vital principle.
Yeah. There
Pleasure
is
principle.
a very
Lifey
small
stuff.
proportion of oxygen dissolved directly into blood. So, I suppose, but really not right. Really not right.
Technical points.
Yeah. He noticed that there was a distinct difference between arterial and venous blood, which, wow. He thought blood started in the liver and returned to the heart. So he got it correct that there was, return from the liver to the right side of the heart. He got that right. But then he thought that there was some convoluted thing where there was actual air circulating into the heart from the lungs, and it mixed with the blood in the heart after it crossed from the right side to the left through a bunch of little perforations in the middle of the heart to a completely separate circulatory pattern out to the body. If you're just trying to puzzle stuff out from scratch, it's not.
I can see how those
especially
connections
stuff right.
get made.
Well,
Yeah.
Especially if you can't do an autopsy.
Right. I mean,
Because that's what I was thinking too when we've talked about this before. Like, you should know that there is a definitive tract that goes through this thing. Like,
yeah. Well,
But-
and the lungs they're, it's such, if you didn't have microscopes and such, I mean, how does it get, what comes out of the lungs? It's an interesting part of the circulation anyway. But anyway, it's not what happens. There is a birth defect that causes a big hole in the middle of the heart. And please excuse me as I have recurrent sweats and break into chills thinking about pediatric cardiology again. But
I had a nightmare. Can I just tell you? Last night I had a nightmare about
That's
this.
right.
And I was
God.
seeing a little kid.
Oh God.
And like, the only thing I remember from the nightmare was just saying, this isn't a congenital cardiology issue. And I was sweating. I woke up in a sweat. I was like, would you give a prostaglandin? Like, what?
Oh my God. And then, yeah. But if that defect is large between the right side and the left side, the blood shunts. So you get blood without oxygen going straight back into circulation again, which is obviously a problem. And baby can't get oxygen from the lungs. It just keeps circulating. This is bad. It's very bad. And I've never seen this terrifying emergency. There is a way to treat it and such, but oh God, again, we're not actually designed that way. That said, I mean, he took the world from mysticism to circulation. So from a Western medical perspective, that was a lot of progress that lasted for, again, over 2,000 years. Yeah.
It is
amazing.
incredible persistence of
Yeah.
the ideas, and a lot of it hinged on because he was the guy, right? So he was the guy.
Yeah.
The guy's not wrong, and a lot of people who defended him for those 2,000 years. That was
Right. I mean, he figured out, he
Galen
did a
said
bunch
it,
with,
so-
and nerves and the spine. Like he figured out that was a whole thing and mapped it. So, I mean, he got a lot of stuff right, but.
Do you want to know my my fun liver blood story? So I am a DO. I went to DO school. And one of the things that you get asked if you're a DO as opposed to an MD on your badge is like, what's a DO? And that's a whole other episode. I promise you I will bring that episode to you. But the fact of the matter is we basically are functionally the same, but we have in our medical school curriculum, there's a little bit of extra kind of like physical medicine thrown in. But that being said, you get this question so much that one of our faculty members who is a pathologist said that he came up with a great explanation at dinner parties. So when people would ask him like, oh, what's the difference between a DO and an MD? He said he would prefer to have a drink in his hand and he would lean in really close, look around like suspiciously, and he'd say, "We believe the liver pumps the blood," and he'd walk off.
That's awesome.
I've
That
used
is
that line
awesome.
before.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening to this. He knows who he is.
Shout out. That's a good joke.
Mhm.
That's a damn good joke. So anyway, that's some stuff about Galen. Hope you liked it.
It's going to be helpful too, because I think we got some episodes coming up which are going to call back to these humors, and so we had to do this. We had to get this stuff down. We had to get our bile all balanced, and I feel better now.
Yeah, good.
But you know what? That's all the time we have for today. So we appreciate everyone listening, and we'd love to hear from all of you out there. If you'd like to send us a message or provide feedback, we can be reached through our website, www.poorhistorianspod.com. There you will find links to our social media sites. We take emails at poorhistorianspod@gmail.com, and we work to respond to all posts on our various social media accounts. If you have time, please go and leave us a nice 5-star review on iTunes or on whichever platform you choose. I've seen a few new ones popping up. Love it. Every single one of those does help raise the show's profile, and if you'd like to support the show in other ways, check out our Poor Historians merchandise, including t-shirts, mugs, etc., by going over to our website. And if you're old-fashioned, find a camcorder from 1992 and send us a video message. We can play it in our VCR. I'll just pop out that copy of Under Siege I got in there right now. Oh, and look forward to next week's episode. We're going to go behind the scenes with the National Civil War Medicine Museum and take a bit of an unusual look at their collection in audio medium. So we do hope you enjoy that. And until next time, the Power Historians are signing out at AMA. But
I'll try Galen. I'll just do a ridiculous, stupid sounding accent.
Okay, I like it. All right,
With reverence to Galen.
Right. Sure. He's been dead for like 3,000 years. I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Well, not quite.
Too soon.
Hello, medical students. Where did yesterday's lesson? No. Hello, medical students. Where did a yesterday? No. Hello.
Almost there. Actually, I have a question. Where are you from?
Of course. I grew up in Sicily. That's where I had a penchant for eating big, deep dish of pizzas. Well, then I moved to Greece.
Actually, I
Actually,
think, sir,
I
I
have
think
a
you were from Turkey. I think we're
Turkey.
from
Oh, yeah.
Turkey,
Well, I
Turkey.
spent some time in my travels through. I've got to go through Turkey to get to Greece, right? I don't know.
Where are we?
We are in the ancient world, the medical school, man.
Did you both take drugs before we started recording?
No, man, hugs, not drugs.
Oh, this is your brain on drugs. It's very dangerous. You take
Like a
drugs,
fried
you
egg.
Fry.
This
You
is
fry
like
like an egg in a
Like
pan.
noon, and you two are
Like
Hyped out
eggs
of your mind.
Benedict. It's
Yeah,
eggs Benedict on drugs, man. This is good.
pupils dilated. What's happening?
I don't know. I can't even see you anymore because new computer. I only have one screen.
You turned into Dracula again.
I only have two accent.
I'm going back. I'll retake my line.
Okay.
All
Actually,
right, wait. We
I have a
start from the
question.
beginning. Oh, okay.
You have a question? You have a question? Student in the front row with your hand up. What is the question? Oh, that was the line. Of course. I bet I know what scene your Under Siege copy is paused on. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh man, I haven't thought about
Actually
that scene in
been
a
so
while.
long.
Oh my gosh.
I actually don't know what you're getting
No,
at.
there's I think, was it a birthday cake? It was like,
Oh, hold on. Let me rewind it.
Right.
I don't
Sure.
remember
Just
who
a
was
little
in
bit.
it, but-
You can rewind it about 30 seconds.
yeah. Was that it? Or am I thinking about that?
No, I think you're
the
right.
parody movie.
No,
He's
I
the
think you're
chef.
right. Yeah.
He's the chef.
Yeah.
You
And
know
then
he's the chef that
you
saves
go
the day?
you go to your friend's house and the screen like goes fuzzy right in that scene. You know, it's been
Mhm.
paused there for like ever.
And burned through.
Did he ever use a line like, if he's a chef, like chop suey, like he's gonna karate chop
Oh,
somebody?
I
I'm
hope
sure
so.
he did. I mean,
Because it's one of those movies, right? Like he would have had a
Oh
bunch
my-
of
so in
catchphrases.
preparation for this, and because I knew he was gonna be making an appearance on the show, I actually had to watch a bunch of like clips on YouTube, which is funny because they kind of split into people who like love Steven Seagal and are trying to cut his best lines, and then other people who are mocking Steven Seagal and still cutting the same lines. And it's funnier if you're one, depending on whose video you're watching. So yes, there's he's an actor.
Yeah.
Say
He
that.
is.
Good
He
for
reads
him.
lines.
Do they read them or do they have to memorize them?
Oh man, what's his band's name? Do you know he has a band?
Oh god.
Steven Seagal and the Steven Seagal 5.
No, it's like what is it? It's worth me looking up real quick. Dang it!
What does he do? Does he?
It's just weird. What's his name? Band's name?
I like how he
Oh,
explains Aikido every time.
It's amazing. Discography.
What was the train one? Wasn't there a train one? Or was that Under Siege 2? Was a train?
Steven
that's
Seagal, Dust My
2, I
Broom,
believe.
live 2014.
No, songs from the Crystal Cave. No, what's the band's name though? It's like Thunder something.
Thunderstruck. No,
Steven
there's a
Seagal
band called Steven Seagal. No, that's a Finnish band.
That's awesome. That's a really good band name. I gotta. Yes, Songs from the Crystal Cave is a debut album from actor, musician, and martial artist Steven Seagal.
He
lead vocals, rhythm, and lead guitar appears on the cover. The style can be described as outsider, country meets world music meets Aikido.
Does he break balsa wood?
I think he's eponymous, man. He's self-titled.
Oh, his band is Thunderbox.
Thunderbox.
That's so bad.
It's really bad.
He had a United States and European tour in 2006.
Oh man, the double bill of him and David
Thunderbox.
Hasselhoff. Oh my god.
You can't even make
I
fun
would've
of it.
seen
It's so
that.
good.
Mm-hmm.